What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk Podcast, Part 2, WrestleMania 38, Night 2 just happened. We are going to break that down, talk about the good and the bad, everything in between, recap what happened, tell you who won all the matches, talk about what we loved and what we didn't like, what you guys are saying in the chat that we have going on right now, everything else that we're going to run down here like we normally do. I am your host as always, Tony Mango. Joining me as always are Robert DeFelice.
It was actually good.
And Callum Wiggins.
It was just bizarre.
It was stupendous, wasn't it? In many different ways. I got a lot of good things to talk about here. I got some nitpicks as well. You know, I'm all over the place like I normally am when it comes to this. So whether you agree or disagree with anything that we got to say here, as always, we want to know what you have to say. So if you are in the live chat, I see that Peter's there, Ted's here, Ryan's here. I'm sure we're going to get some more people. There's Frankie, more people coming in as we start rolling along here. Chat it up. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you are listening to this after the fact, then you can still leave the comment below and tell us what you're thinking about, whatever like that. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, ring that little notification bell, hit the join button to get access to the members only content, which is the same as the Patreon. $1 goes a long way each month, especially the more people that do it. But $10 and up gives you access to the Darkcast. You got the Pick Your Poison tier where we can do anything that you want us to do, relatively speaking, as long as it's, makes sense with what we got going on here. Brandon's in the chat now as well. What's up, guys? And as we are going along here, we just want to kind of keep this going with all the kind of thoughts that you guys have. So if you got a little sidebar you want to talk about, you want to mention it, there's also the super chats. If you want to take advantage of that while we're doing this right now, that'll definitely catch my attention because it always pops up a little extra on the sidebar there. But we got a lot to break down here. So I want to make sure that we are getting this going and starting this off with our just general thoughts. How you guys feeling?
Weird.
Like, we're feeling weird.
Yeah, because there are bits of it that were good. Well, there's fun and interesting, but yeah, it's just the biggest equivalent of the word "why now WrestleMania." Those first seven letters don't really apply anymore.
Sports entertainia, am I right? Like,
yeah. It was sports entertaining in that regard. So that's what they set out to do, and I guess it fulfilled the brief for the most part. But yeah, some of the stuff is just like it has to just almost be in a bubble. Almost, it's bizarre.
I first felt that way the last time they were in Dallas, and I think every year they've progressed into WrestleMania is a bubble of, like, it's like their Oscars where it's just like, hey, it's a big show, come see the big show, and then we'll start over on Raw. But this year, maybe it's just because my bar was in hell, expectation-wise, but I had a lot of fun, and there's only one thing that I can just objectively say I hated, but there was a lot that I thoroughly enjoyed, and even the stuff that was meh is easy to get over.
Marquise in the chat, thank you for the super chat, says that he's feeling blue-balled again.
They didn't promise you Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, I'm going to be in that kind of position that I normally am here, where people are going to go, oh my God, why are you complaining about that for certain things? And then some other things I'm going to just be saying, this was absolutely great. I'm always kind of looking at things segment by segment. And one of the big things that I could say about this night, last night, and the past couple of months is I'm really not liking that WrestleMania is getting into this habit, even more so, of it doesn't matter if we have shit leading up to it. If the segment's good, then that's all that matters. We talked about that with Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, and there are some segments from both of these last night and tonight that I really feel like if you just watch that and you hear me complain about everything leading up to it, people will be like, he doesn't like anything. And it'd be like, well, the segment's good, but the leading up to it sucked, and that still doesn't make up for it and everything. So there are things I really didn't like. There are things I loved, and some stuff in the middle. So I'm going to be kind of bouncing around here. We got even more people popping up in the chat. I see Quartz. I see Young Prodigy. What's up, everybody? I got nothing at all to say about the kickoff.
I didn't even watch it.
It was pointless. Nothing happened. There wasn't any interesting discussion. Nobody did anything. The people that popped up were just sort of, yeah, man, I'm excited for Mania. Literally, I have nothing to say about that. So it's 2 full hours worth of, okay, moving on. You know? But then again, that's the kickoff, even though they could do more matches and they could have, United States title could have been on there. Intercontinental title could have been on there. Maybe another match later on in this night could have gotten a little bit more time. Whatever it is, 2 hours of that completely wasted. But we started it off with America the Beautiful. And
she was far better.
She was way better than whoever it was from last night. Nowhere close to like my favorite rendition of it or anything, but I mean, considering the low bar from yesterday, I was like, big old thumbs up when it comes to that.
That would be my only note regarding America the Beautiful. Just much better than yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Any quick thoughts on that, Kel?
No.
Didn't think so. Just wanted to double check. I see that Marco's in the chat now as well. After that, we go to Triple H. And
That's
he is coming out there. He's taking it all in, soaking in the moment. He says, I'm going to say thank you and welcome you the way that I know how to do that best. Welcome to WrestleMania. And after the pyro goes off, he leaves his boots in the ring with the microphone. So it's a nice little send away for Triple H for as far as his in-ring career is concerned. I liked seeing him take the time for that, just because we know that he's not going to wrestle anymore. So that's a nice little moment for him. I thought that was good.
He deserved it. It was a sudden announcement, and I'm glad they were able to do something with that and have him leave his boots in the ring. It was nice to see his family. It was nice to see his daughters. The oldest splitting image of Steph. And that was cool. Like, you can see him start to transition into truly whatever the next phase of his life is.
Yeah, it was a cool moment, and he gets to finish off the fact that he didn't get to finish off on a match actually leading up to him retiring, but gets to leave his boots in the ring at the start of WrestleMania. The meaning will probably be diminished in the next couple of months when Cody does it for the 5th time.
I hope that's not the case. I hope he doesn't carry that over into WWE because, whoa, man, I really hated that. In the chat, Ted says, wait, Triple H left his boots in the ring so that he's going to face Roman next Mania because Taker did that too.
No, he did it after
the Roman thing.
It was Cena, yeah, so he would be facing Cena next.
Right. No, he'll face Cody.
Oh, yeah.
Well, after that, they show Gable Steveson again, and I'm like, man, you're really coming off desperate with this. They're just kind of like, remember, guys, Gable Steveson, come on. I hate when they do that kind of, especially because right after that, they ended up having a much better thing with him, so I don't know why they needed to bother with that.
And they already had Triple H, acknowledge him, give him a little pat on the back. That's all you needed to go into the segment that you would get.
And you had Stephanie do it yesterday. So, why do it yesterday?
You didn't need that yesterday.
No, they shouldn't have done it yesterday. They should have just done the thing that they did here with the Raw Tag Team Championship Triple Threat match, which was the first match of the night. So we started off last night and tonight with the tag team titles. I don't know if that's something that they were just kind of like, why don't we do that or whatever, if it's just happening.
In terms of card structure, both nights mirrored each other very well.
Pretty much, yeah. Ben in the chat says, really good Mania, but it's bedtime. Have a good one, guys. Good night, Ben.
Hey, we got to talk about Sasha first. We got Sasha talk.
No special entrance for anyone here, and that was a recurring theme. There we had just a few special entrances throughout the night, and the ones that were supposed to be, in some ways, I really didn't like. I liked a couple of them, but that's one of my major nitpicks with this year's WrestleMania was none of the entrances really felt grandiose enough. And I was hoping for something with RK Bro. I thought that you could do something with the Street Profits. other than just the exact same thing that they've been doing. Alpha Academy doesn't get anything, so that was kind of lame. I was like, all right, we're starting off with just sort of that. But the match itself, good. Montez Ford leaps over the ring post like he does because that guy's just insane. He's got trampoline in his boot for some reason. I like Orton and Riddle doing their in-sync moves where they both have that rhythm down really well. Really nice springboard RKO from Riddle to Tez. RKO to Gable for the win as well. I like the match. What do you guys think?
Fun way to start the show. Randy and Riddle are great. Randy's having such a blast. He just seems like he's really soaking everything in. Street Profits are always good. Gable, Chad Gable, I guess I have to specify, is on the roll of his career. He's really embracing everything. I think this was his first Mania match, like on the official card. That's cool. And the shoosh is really over, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, I thought this match was fun. I think it kind of suffers from the fact that they had that triple threat tag match a month or so ago, which I think was considerably better than this one. And yeah, the Street Profits, they did some cool stuff as well, but didn't add to the match in the way that I was hoping to. But it was still good. You still got the cool RKO from Riddle taking Montez Ford off the top rope. That was great. And then Orton catching Gable with another RKO and getting the pin. Yeah, I assume that the RK Bro were going to retain because it just didn't feel like either team that were facing them felt at that sort of level. And yeah, I think it was just a good, fun opening match. What happened afterwards, I'm not so keen on.
Like Ryan says in the chat, it was solid, nothing crazy, but good. It wasn't like the best match of the card. It wasn't the best match of all time, anything like that. It's not going to go in my match of the year candidates, but it was just a good match. I still think overall, Orton versus Riddle would have probably been the direction I would have kept pushing for, but at least in a bubble, to use that phrase again, this was a good match. And then following that, we had the Street Profits, who multiple people were bugging me. Why aren't you putting them down as heels? They're heels now, aren't they? I'm like, I don't think so. I think they're just kind of playing tweener. They had some red Solo cups ready to go for RK Bro to celebrate, just say, good match, fellas, kind of thing. And they invited Gable Steveson to come into the ring. And as he was about to drink, Chad Gable slaps the cup out of his hands. He tells him to shush. Then Steveson picks him up for his suplex. And I was like, all right, I'm going to check that off the list of things that I had been saying for a while. And God knows how many articles of, why don't we have something with Gable and Gable? Like, just kind of, isn't that kind of obvious? And we would do another one of those later on the night. But I can't say this was the best impression for me for Gable Steveson. After having so much of like, he's just thrown on the Monday Night Raw roster, and we're going to mention him for like a solid year of just like, we got him, guys, he's here, he's going to be doing something. Remember, guys. And then that's what he does. And I'm like, all right, he looks short compared to everybody else and doesn't seem to have a whole lot of charisma going on right now. And we didn't hear him talk yet. And I don't know. I'm not feeling it yet.
So, on the whole, I think this would have been better if they didn't constantly go, we got him. If they just let it happen like this, it would have been better. There seemed to be a bit of a miscue where Gable Steveson took the mic from Chad Gable and did nothing with it. Mm-hmm. And then Gable just took it back. I don't think that was supposed to happen. I think he probably got confused as to who was supposed to do what. I popped big for the sheesh because his face just contorted and a little bit of spit came flying out of his mouth. And I just thought, he's having fun and he's finally getting a moment. So good for Chad Gable. And Steveson did a suplex, which is okay. I assume his first match will be at Backlash. and we'll go from there. But this was a lukewarm start at best, but they can't all be winners.
Yeah, it's nothing particularly spectacular. I mean, it seems to be building towards a potential first match between Gable Steveson and Chad Gable, and that's as good a worker as you can put a guy against who is still green and still going to be learning the process. I think the whole Gable Steveson involvement in WWE it makes sense due to obviously his college accomplishments and winning the gold medal, of course. But I find the whole thing kind of icky because of the whole background surrounding Gable Steveson.
I mean, that's been swept under the rug from them.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to put it out there. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but then again, I usually don't care that much because I don't have a reputation as a wrestling writer to try and back up. But I kind of feel like in a world where this guy is going to be pushed very heavily and is being touted by WWE, and someone who escaped the accusations that were put towards him, and someone like, well, again, this is not a defense of this guy, whatever, but it's not like Velveteen Dream was ever actually charged with anything. He's out of the company.
I did think for a brief moment when Stephanie did her segment yesterday, I was like, well, what if that stuff does come back up, or what if it all does blow up in their face? Then this is all just weird, wasted time. But I guess time will tell.
I mean, we were talking yesterday about the whole like Nash Carter thing. Like fucking Rich Swann was fired from the company for like what seemed to be like a bust up with his wife, who he is still with.
They just had a child.
Yeah, it was just like one of those instances, just like that, and it's just like this guy. He seems to. I'm worried that he's coming across as. And again, I don't know the guy, so I can't say with any certainty. But I think him getting away with that and now essentially being touted as like he's the next big thing in WWE. That old stuff can go to someone's head pretty quickly if they feel like they're untouchable.
Mm-hmm. Especially if he hasn't proven anything yet.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see. I can't say that I'm fully confident yet, but maybe after his first match, I'll change my tune about it. But yeah, not convinced as of yet.
Peter says in the chat, Gable versus Gable, loser can't be named Gable. That'd be great if they do that kind of angle.
I really think we're going to get Professor Chad.
I think we're going to get some kind of renaming for Chad Gable, yeah. I don't know exactly what, but they're going to do the whole, there can't be two Gables type thing.
Well, what's going to happen when his brother gets called up to the roster?
He's just Damon Kemp.
Yeah, I know, but it's just a case of like, they're brothers. And I mean, I haven't really seen them standing next to each other. I haven't seen any photos of that, but I assume they must look fairly similar.
Not too much, from what I can remember. I've only seen Damon Kemp once.
So like, if Damon Kemp actually does like get good and gets up to the main roster, and they just end up fighting, and it's just a case of they have to just pretend that they're not brothers. So like the whole reverse Kane Undertaker thing. Like, they're actually brothers, but they can't be because they have completely different names. Yeah,
I could just make up for like Bart and Billy and the Hollies and all these like fake ones. They could just be like, you're fake, not related. You know?
That's right. You're just Damon Kemp.
Maybe he'll be Damon Kemp Gable, and then they'll just be doing all things completely messed up because that's not even his name, but it could just be like a Mario Brothers type of thing. Well, then they turned into a recap of last night, which they filled a lot of time on this show by showing you clips of the previous night. And I couldn't help but to think, guys, we had 2 hours, and then we had the American Beautiful, and we had Triple H come out, and then we're doing a recap, and then another recap, and whatever. And I'm like, don't tell me you're going to run short on time. Like, you're wasting it.
I mean, you know why they're doing this, right? It's because Peacock has ads.
Still, I mean, do that for the other parts, because there's other things here and there.
What do you mean other parts?
Hold on. Are you suggesting, because they did blatantly state this during NXT, that they're showing that while the Peacock non-premium people get ads?
Yeah.
It's
That's so
that's what happens.
gross.
I mean,
there's Peacock, there's Peacock Premium and Peacock Premium Plus. If you've got regular Peacock, you don't get a show like this at all. If you've got Peacock Premium, you get the show, but they interrupt it with ads for moments like that. And it's like just generic ads the way that you would see on like Hulu and everything, because all these streaming platforms are doing this now where it's just like, hey, if people paid for the non-ad version, then we're just going to bump up the price and do that kind of shit. And then if you've got Premium Plus, that's the $10 a month one. And that's the one where you get a video package on top of a video package because, you know, well, we're not going to give you an ad, but we'll give you an in-house ad instead, which is like, fuck them, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's like it's a live show, and if the regular Peacock or the one that's Peacock Premium has to give you $5, well, it has to show ads because of the fact that that's how it works. And for most shows on Peacock, which aren't live broadcasts, that's fine. That's the value of paying for the extra one, because you're not going to have your show reach its halfway point, have a bunch of ads, and then move on. You can just go straight on to the next one. But on a live show like WrestleMania, it means that during that ad period, you've got to be showing something on the show, and and they're not going to do a thing that's like a picture-in-picture thing or something like that AEW would do. And AEW is in the better position where, like, when their stuff is shown on Fight TV, if it's like either Dynamite or Rampage or whatever, you just see the match when you're watching it on Fight, as opposed to having it interrupted with adverts if you're watching it through TNT or TBS. But
I'm glad you brought that up, because that explains a lot.
Well, yeah, I don't know why it was like such a mind-blowing revelation to me.
Because I forget, honestly, that people get ads during these things, because I don't pay for ads, and I think that's stupid.
Well, no, what you're doing is you're paying for WWE ads instead.
Right. That's the thing I am annoyed about, because I'm like, you know, if you want to give somebody an incentive to pay the extra $5 tier because you don't want to see the ads, but the alternative is you're getting ads, then why do you fucking care? Why don't you just save the $5 instead? You know, like, why not show you something like, okay, we're going to give you this extra little thing. It might not be, you can't put, you know, hey, that's the Stone Cold match on there, but do something, you know, maybe have like a backstage interview with somebody.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it could be something along those lines, but that's the way they've decided to approach it. And the difference is that the reason why people would pay that extra money is because it's for every other show that's not a live WWE show. It's like, at that point, having no ads is worth it. But for a live broadcast, it just means, okay, we got to just sit through a replay of Cody versus Seth, or see Bianca Belair's entrance again, or something like that, because they're still waiting for the 2-3 minutes until the regular Peacock users get back to watching.
But I think that they should at least explain this, because to a lot of people, really, they're thinking, oh, they're just being facetious and running ads when they could be giving more time to the New Day.
Whereas, I just look at it as like, I mean, for the Royal Rumble, for instance, that could have been like somebody picking their number just for like an extra little thing. And then it could have been like, if you want to see that extra content, the type of shit that you would put on YouTube afterward, then pay the extra $5, you know, like, I don't know. I'm in the interest of, why don't we give something to somebody so that's worth their money? But
it's just the reason that, again, the Peacock move makes total sense from a business perspective, but for a viewer perspective, it just means that the shows are going to go so much longer than they need to.
Well, that was a recurring theme of the night, switching over to just recaps of what we had already seen from last night and everything. But then we went into Bobby Lashley versus Omos. And man, it's still surprising me when they go weighing in at 400 pounds for Omos, because I'm just like, 400 pounds. Wow. Lashley got a somewhat special entrance. He has a podium. It's weak, but It's more than what most people
Don't
got.
shit on the podium. It's a nice little entrance for him.
That's not good enough in my mind. But then when you look at how most people got nothing, well, it's better than nothing. Anyway, the match
First of
itself,
It
yeah.
was exactly what Callum and I said it would be, and it was fun.
It was fine for a thing that I don't think should have necessarily even been a thing. I never would have booked this to begin with.
The place blew when he suplexed him.
I enjoyed for what it was worth, is what I'm saying. But I never would have been like, okay, we need to start booking this for WrestleMania. But the right decision was made. Lashley gets the vertical suplex on Omos. He hits a spear for the win. His boots didn't fully come undone, even though every strap went loose at one point. And, it was kind of messy in a couple spots, but then it is what it is. Lashley wins, and he's going to look stronger now, so he can end up having a match against Roman Reigns.
Yeah, it was, it was there. It was fine. Like, you had the suplex. That was the spot that everyone was looking for, and Lashley beat him. First of 3 guys to win a match with a spear on the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you should mix up a bit. Maybe one of them should have a Canadian Destroyer as a finisher or something like that, because I'm sick and tired of seeing people just hitting spears all the time. It's like, God, it's like, it's all spear. It's like, that's how
Why don't you
AEW
control your
like
narrative somewhere else, pal?
Yeah. But yeah, this was as you would expect. And it basically means Omos is dead in the water now. There's absolutely no point having him in the company anymore.
Yep. Isn't that awful?
No,
yeah, that's all. Like, he had his year and a half, or like close to 2 years, where like pretty much from last year's WrestleMania to now, to prove that he was more than just a, well, essentially, just a big guy that could do big guy things. And he didn't prove it, and so they had one of their top stars beat him in this match, and now he's worthless.
So going into this, even though on the preview podcast, Callum and I were talking about Bobby Lashley's going to slam him, Bobby Lashley's going to beat him. I'm still watching, like, maybe not. Maybe, Omos gets a win here, and that says they still have faith in him. When I saw the spear from the back, and then the suplex, I said to my buddy who I was watching with, I said, dead. I was like, he's gone. There's nothing there for him now. And what do you really do from here? He becomes like, he'll be the Great Khali in a few months. He'll be doing kiss cams and stuff.
I still don't think he's going to be on the list of people released in 10 days.
No, I didn't mean like that. I just meant like, even whether he is or isn't, he'll never have that, like, unwavering monster effect.
No, I'm anticipating, I still think Commander Aziz is going to be, and that we're going to get at least a handful of other people that are going to be released on April 15th. But I think Omos is going to stick around a little bit longer, and then my judgment call right now, of course, it could change even as much as tomorrow night on Raw. I kind of think that he's gone by around the time Survivor Series comes around. But it might not even be then. Either way, I don't think he's bouncing back from this. I can't imagine that they're just going to be like, and then, we're going to give him a bunch of wins to make up for it, and then we're going to push him towards the United States title or something. I think that's it, Well,
just because I think he's dead in the water doesn't mean I think he's actually going to get released anytime soon.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, he's just Big Show now.
Oh, I don't think he's going to last as long as Big Show.
He might. Well, he's the tallest guy they've got, and that's the. Okay, then he's Great Khali.
That's what I said. He'll be doing kiss cams in a little bit.
Yeah. So that's it. Like, Khali was there for better part of a decade. Omos could be there as well. He just never.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll just never Again, it just means that he'll just get up to a certain level and then never beat the bigger guys because they know that they can't run with him as a proper main eventer.
Caroline had a moment, and that's I thought was really funny. She was twice she had said, "This guy's intimidating," and then eventually she was like, "I feel like if he were to stomp next to me, I would die from the aftershock." I don't think he's that big, but I mean, he is a big
Well,
fucking
he's
guy.
big. He's big.
Bigger than Babatunde, which is saying a lot. Well, that turned into the Anything Goes match. Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. This was so much fucking fun.
This was what WWE claims to be on a regular basis. Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn delivered. This was the most fun I've had watching a match in quite some time that wasn't just, oh, well, this should be fun because these are two guys who know how to wrestle. This was so entertaining. And they did jackass things. They had a bunch of the cast. Wee Man body slammed Sami Zayn. I saw people comparing it to Hogan slamming Andre, which is fantastic.
I checked off the Wee Man's going to get the Hornswoggle spot. That was another thing, but I did not anticipate that he would do a body slam. I thought that was a really cool moment.
Oh, I thought when Zayn looked under the ring and kind of pulled back his fingers, I thought, okay, did Wee Man bite him? And then it was mousetraps. They had a table with mousetraps, which is just, why not? It's jackass. Hell yeah. Sami Zayn bumped his ass off. Quite frankly, Knoxville bumped his ass off. Took a exploder suplex through a table. He delivered a tornado DDT. He was working his ass off. They did the bowling ball to the balls spot, which I love and is a lot of fun. McAfee was on the call, which made this 10 times better.
He was really obsessed with Chris Pontius's ass cheeks for some reason.
Yeah, and then Michael Cole was like, why do you know so much about this? Why are you so, like, how have you really seen his body parts that often? This was just entertaining. This made me go, huh, I kind of missed the hardcore title. That was the takeaway I had from this was, I like the goofy hardcore shit. Because whole match, I was just like, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and this is Put a Lid on It. I'm Johnny Knoxville, and this is Table for Two. I just doing jackass names for all the spots they did. It was just so fun. That's what this is supposed to be, right? Like, it's not wrestling as we would like it, so it's fun. And this was fun.
What do you call the spot with the tongs on his crotch? Is that like, and this is the dong tongs or something?
I didn't get the chance to think that hard, but I'd probably say, grabbing a weenie or something like that.
Lots of fun moments in this thing. They did have a really good swift kick to the face to Wee Man. We just fucking nailed him. I laughed so hard at that. I was like, Jesus Christ, just boot right to the face. I don't know what's worse, that one or the one that Bianca took last night.
You wouldn't expect it, and they slid it down. Yeah, it looked like contact was made. You can't say, oh, that was all bullshit. Contact was made. And kudos to Sami Zayn.
Oh, he did the giant hand. You were looking for that.
Yes. Just so good.
Yeah, this was for me, the best thing on the entire show. It was, it was fun from start to finish. It was comedy, but the best kind of comedy. It was so well put together. The hand swinging out from absolutely nowhere was brilliant, and it's like that's one of the iconic things from the whole Jackass movie series. And just to see that pop up was great. The bump that Zayn took through the tables with mousetraps on was great. It was like the kick to the face. As soon as Wee Man got involved in the match like kicked up a high gear because he just slammed him down, and the crowd just went crazy for it. And everything from that point, with the pyro going off in the background and Zayn falling down, the bowling ball to the crotch, the kick to the crotch, all of this stuff was just, yeah, it was fun from start to finish. The only negative I had of the match is the finish was fucked up.
Yeah, that mousetrap didn't really work out. But I mean, credit to Knoxville for thinking on the spot, okay, let me try to do it this way, and to get it to actually work to a certain extent. I mean, it could have been worse.
Yeah, so yeah, overall, yeah, this was a ton of fun. This reminded me a lot of, well, both the Austin and Owens match from the previous night, which was just like, okay, this is this is bizarre, but it's so much fun that I'm just enjoying myself anyway. And funny enough, it's both Zayn and Owens that are doing this stuff as well. So like, they know what stage their career are, and they're just having as much fun as possible. And I can't blame them for doing that. And it reminds me a lot of the hardcore triple threat match from WrestleMania 17, which I think is the most fun hardcore match WWE did of that kind of era. And this was right there, but obviously a bit more inventive because of the jackass element to it as well. So, yeah, this was great.
By far the most fun I've had watching a WWE match. Like, just, but I'm not saying, like, oh, this is better than Becky Bianca. No, but, like,
just
this
fun.
is just so fun. Like, and that's, again, like, that's what it should be at. By the end of this, I messaged you guys, like, first 3 matches for me delivered exactly what they needed to, you know? And I'm just glad that they didn't screw it up, you know?
So we had another couple of recap things, but our next match was the Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way, which had another car entrance. This one's at least a better car, but
this one was much better.
I was still just kind of like, got another car. Who's obsessed with cars recently? We have 2 ATVs. Brock did 2 things with cars. The Becky entrance, the Sasha entrance, the Charlotte thing. Somebody's just kind of like, fucking car will be great. No, I'm not a car guy, so it doesn't translate for me at all. But what does...
They're easy props, I think.
What does translate very well to me, Morgan was dressed up like Catwoman.
Well, Liv Morgan was dressed up like Catwoman, and Rhea Ripley was dressed up like a cross between Batman and a bunny rabbit.
The bunny from Donnie Darko, but also a dominatrix. I was like, you're gonna go viral tonight. There's a lot of trends that are gonna happen here. Like,
those are way too big if it was meant to be a Batman.
Yeah.
No, I think it was just supposed to be Donnie Darko.
No, it was supposed to be Batman.
It was supposed to be Batman.
Yeah, because it's Batman and Catwoman.
Because she had Batman on her. She had not Batman, but she had the bats on her gear.
She had bats. I literally only saw the bunny ears. It looked like,
and I think like maybe even the hair and the makeup was supposed to be like how this Bruce is a bit more on the emo side of things. Either way, they looked fantastic. We're not gonna get caught up in semantics here. Rhea and Liv looked phenomenal. Sasha always looks great. This was, I have to say, for a match that I thought was going to be like, okay, time to get up and stretch your legs. Nope, this was a really good match for what it was. They delivered. All the teams had a tandem offense, like if they're actually working at it. And I really just want to see more of these teams together. Build them up. Build back a division. Let's get this thing going because they're really good and they really want to deliver.
Yeah, I don't know what I would rate this because I don't like doing star ratings or match grades because to me it's like, I mean, on any particular night something might feel a little bit better or whatever, and it's just not my style. But as far as like a good or a bad thing, I thought this was a good match. I liked it quite a bit, and even though the team I didn't want to win won, they were my second favorite team to win. I wanted Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley to win it. I ended up actually enjoying the finish to that too. I liked the tag team combo that Banks and Naomi did. I'm glad that they're the tag team champions. And overall, I mean, despite the fact that the build to this was really half-assed and lackluster and rushed of just, we got to throw some people in there. And then, there's all the problems that we've talked about leading up to this. In a bubble, this match, it was a good match.
I like the riptide into the backstabber from Liv and Rhea. I thought the suicide dives from Liv and Sasha, the way that the camera just stayed at a wide shot so you could see them both instead of trying to camera cut. I like that a lot. Just a really fun match. And I guess Corey and Carmella are getting married this week. They alluded to that, so that good for them. And just thumbs up.
Yeah, I thought this was put it this way, it was a damn sight better than anything they did with the women's tag team titles last year. So that's an improvement. Yeah, I thought it was a decent match. I wouldn't probably go so far to say good, but definitely fun in places. I thought, yeah, Banks and Naomi makes the most sense to win this. They were the most over team. They worked well together. They probably have, well, the most reason to be like a team going forward and carry on the belts, because it feels like there's other things that were going on SmackDown, which means they wouldn't be able to be elevated towards the
SmackDown
singles titles, the SmackDown Women's titles. So I think that it means that, yeah, they can hold that for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if all the other three teams weren't teams by the time the next pay-per-view comes around, because Rhea will probably move on to the Raw Women's title. Liv will fight on main event. Zelina Vega and Carmella will break up because of the whole. They'll just pick up the whole Carmella's too interested in herself and too interested in a relationship with Corey that they'll move on to a singles feud off of that. And
plus Carmella took the pin, so
yeah, and then it'll just get to the point with Baszler and Natalya will just be okay. They'll team occasionally, but then they won't, and then they will, and then it'll just be okay. These two are just here. So we'll just, if we need them for this, then we'll do it. If not, then who cares, type thing.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to what they most likely do not have planned. But then again, like I said, within a bubble, you rate things a little bit differently than what comes afterward. And we never know what's going to happen afterward. I mean, they could have some surprises for tomorrow night. They could do some kind of reset that we're not even remotely aware of, that they just switch some roster people around or whatever. I don't know. I mean, maybe they have something in mind, but I highly, highly doubt it, because this is a championship that they don't really care about. So at least for tonight, Banks and Naomi winning is something that's kind of neat. And, they were happy to win. You could see that they were getting all teary up and stuff. Frankie's suggesting Dana and Tamina become friends and team up. We got that wedding angle coming up too. So I don't know how they're going to play that into that, but
I hope they tape a fake real wedding between Corey and Carmella and just have the other two crash it. Like, I know this is just our wedding now, and I think that'll be fun. Because again, screw it, just have fun.
I hope they just forget that this is an angle. Just
That's
move on.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's not, but still, I can hope. Here's something that's interesting, though. We start off the next thing, and AJ Styles is bleeding during his entrance.
Yeah, the pyro hit him in the face.
That's gotta suck. Like, I was just, he's coming out and whatever, and I had my my face turned away from it at the moment, and Caroline was just like, "Why is he bleeding already?" And I was like, "Wait, so what happened? Like, who's bleeding or whatever?" Turned around, and I'm like, I don't know. So I backtracked a couple times. I was trying to see if maybe he went for like some kind of a pose and like scratched his face or something. I was like, I don't see anything. I didn't see where the pyro hit him or anything like that. Maybe the camera angle was just bad for it, but man, that's got to be a bad start or whatever. And the first thing I wrote down was, isn't this Goldberg's gimmick? Just like,
yeah, everybody was immediately like, oh, look, AJ Goldberg himself.
It's so great when there's like this collective fuck this person joke kind of thing going on. But that was not a special entrance. Edge had a special entrance, though.
Yeah, he did.
Throne, he's surrounded by fire, and that was pretty cool. I like that quite a bit. That's one of the only actual special entrances of the night, or the weekend, I should say. So that gets the big old thumbs up from me as far as, okay, you put in some effort. I like that quite a bit. Still don't like the theme, but, I mean, that's nitpicky on the top of that. But I was digging that, and I like the match. I mean, the match underwhelmed a little bit from what I was expecting. I did kind of think that these two would be able to pull out more, but I am also thinking that we're going to get one or two more matches. So maybe they didn't want to just do everything in the one match. And
exactly.
We're going to probably drag this out until Hell in a Cell.
I liked it. I think they can still deliver very well. Edge is still, performing as good as ever. And quite frankly, as much as Edge is my favorite wrestler, I also know that Edge works better with weapons. anyway. There's been very few times where he's just had a standalone match and it's been a top 5 thing. But this was very good from both men. And it was just another thing where I was like, all right, night 2 is definitely delivering. I like the entrance. Is this my favorite version of Edge? No, but at least he's fully embraced whatever this is. He's found his heater, because, spoiler, as Fightful Select had reported, Damian Priest did pop up. He didn't get physical, but he was enough of a distraction to help Edge spear AJ off of a springboard and get the win. And now Edge and Damian Priest have a new alliance for whatever this group will be called.
The Unholy Alliance is like at least a little tease that they said. I don't know if they're really going to go in that direction, but I dig it. I think that Damian Priest makes sense as somebody who's going to be with Edge.
I also think they'll eventually get Ciampa, but we'll get there when we get there.
So I think the match started well, ended well, and had about 15 minutes in the middle where they did absolutely fucking nothing. So boring. It's a really, really boring match. And not looking forward to... And frankly, this is becoming a bit of a pattern with AJ Styles. Because he had that match with Jericho. He's had the match with Nakamura.
Oh, but AJ at WrestleMania?
Yeah, he just puts in really boring matches at WrestleMania.
You know, and I'll throw another one in there. The match with Orton at that 35.
Yeah, that wasn't great. I think that was better than this, but still not like amazing. So yeah, I think that this very much underwhelmed for the dream match that was applied to it. As I say, I'm sure there's a bit more coming because of the circumstances in which the match finished, but I don't really like the idea of WrestleMania. You hold something back for a future match. Like, you should be trying to, well, to be fair, you should be trying to go all out on every single match that you're having, but I feel like this was, yeah, just too dull. And I typically like this style of match where it's like build up over time and then you eventually get to the hot closing stretch. And I thought towards the end it got really good, but I didn't really want to sit through the 15, 20 minutes prior to that point. I mean, this was longer. I think this was the longest match on the entire 2 nights. And
Really?
it felt it. Yeah. I think this was 24, 25 minutes, which is the longest match on night 1 was the Cody match, which went just over 20. And that was way better than this. The Bianca Becky match was way better than this. I'd say that in certain places, in terms of just actual things that happened, I thought it was parallel to Ronda and Charlotte as a match. So yeah, I can't say it was bad because it wasn't bad, but it was just fine. It was just there, really. And considering what you would hope it to be, that's not really good enough. And now I'm kind of at the point where I'm not really looking forward to any AJ Styles match at WrestleMania going forward because it's just going to be a bit, that seems to be what my reaction will end up being to it. It's like, yeah, I thought that was going to be really great and it wasn't.
Fair enough. I can understand that. It's people in the chat echoing some of those same sentiments here. Frankie says, I thought that the match was actually really good. I thought it was different. I liked the ending of Priest coming out. Agree, though, that there were parts that were boring. Yeah.
I'd say it's a solid 3. Like, again, if you are going with the star ratings, and I don't typically go with it, but it was a solid, like, for me, 6, maybe 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it's certainly not like some match of the night type thing, and it had the potential to be a match of the year thing. So for it to not be match of the night already kind of says that it's a disappointment, but you know, overall I ended up liking the segment, so I'm not going to complain too much compared to what I would about, say, the thing that followed it, which was the New Day versus Ridge Holland and Sheamus, a feud that has been blah and problematic in more ways than one, and they weren't able to fit it into the card last night, so they decided, hey, we're going to put it on there tonight. We're going to spend 2 hours on the kickoff, and we're going to spend all this time that we should be dedicating towards other things. You guys got 1 minute and 40 seconds. Go out there and just lose. And wow, man, what a fucking downer. because it's like they're wearing the ring gear that represents Big E, because remember, Big E is injured and we all wish him well. And by the time we get done saying that, Ridge Holland gets pinned.
Not great. The only thing that I can really say was just bad. Like, you should have just, at this point, the match itself was announced on Monday and announced for Saturday and taken off Saturday. You should have just not announced it at all. You know?
Yeah, really, this didn't serve any purpose. And it's not like there aren't other people that didn't get put on the card, too. Like, I mean, Alexa Bliss wasn't on the card. Doudrop wasn't on the card. It would suck to not be on the card if you were scheduled for it, but this match did not feel like it needed to be at WrestleMania, because this wouldn't really matter at fucking SmackDown. But this is exactly the type of thing that makes me go, fuck, man. You can't just throw a match on there and say that it matters because it's on WrestleMania. Like, this should have been that stupid WrestleMania SmackDown thing, and then they could have budgeted their time better, and the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal should have been on the pre-show or something like that. Like, I don't like WrestleMania being, let's split a bunch of things up and we could throw some garbage on the card just because we've got some other stuff we put on other nights. We didn't get a US title match. We didn't get an IC title match. We didn't get DeAndre. We didn't get some other people on the card. This is the best you can do. 1 minute and 40 seconds on the wrong night. Shouldn't have even happened. And somebody had mentioned in the Mega Maniacs or the live chat or something that they thought that they were putting this on there because it was just like a bathroom break or whatever. That's not even enough time for a bathroom break. It was 2 minutes.
I went for one.
I mean, for people at home, it might be to be able to rush, but like the people in attendance to try to like act as a little buffer. By the time you'd be like, oh, okay, they're going to go with that match. Let me start making my way up the stadium steps and everything. You're going to be like, I got to turn right back around again, you know? So I just think this was a failure on all parts. This is the worst part of this night.
Yeah, this was an abomination, really. Because you only give them this amount of time, so it's not like they can fuck anything up, really, but it was just bad. It was... If you are going this long, then I don't see why you wouldn't just have the babyfaces win, because at the end of the day, who really cares? Like, they're representing Big E, and just like, no, we need to build up some more heat here, get some heels winning, even though you just had a heel win the previous match as well, but that's fine.
And the heel was gonna go over later.
Yeah, and they've decided that Pete Dunne or Butch's gimmick is that he's essentially a toddler.
Yeah, it seems like it. He's like the fucking rowdy little 2-year-old that it's just kind of like, let me at him, and they're like, no.
Yeah, he's a Peaky Blinders mixed with Scrappy Doo type thing.
Well, what's a better name, Butch or Peaky Doo? Scrappy Blinders.
Yeah, that's a better name than Butch. I'll give him that.
It really feels like somebody saw just some rowdy parody of like a Scrappy Brit. It was like, Pete Dunne, go do that. Go be like, yeah, let me at him. I want to crack at this guy. Like, what? Why is Pete Dunne just suddenly a lunatic? Like, what happened?
Well,
he's mad that he got renamed Butch, and that just set him off.
Yeah, what happened is they had an idea, and they decided, no one watches NXT, so I have no idea who Pete Dunne is anyway. So that's just so we can just run with it.
Yeah,
anyway.
I guess so.
So yeah, I'm not a fan of this match, not a fan of the angle, not a fan of the fact that Pete Dunne is just like someone who just is angry all the time. It's just like they might as well just bring him out on a leash at this point. Like, he's like their dog almost. Like,
Don't give him any ideas.
It does remind me of actually that I can't remember who the guy's name was, but when Brian Knobbs was the hardcore champion in WCW, he brought out, like, he was coming out with a guy who he brought out on a leash. I think his name actually was just Dog in WCW.
That adds up.
So that's pretty much what Pete Dunne is at this point. So,
Butch Dog.
Just Butch Dog.
Yeah.
Butch makes more sense as a dog's name than an actual person's name.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure I've met a dog named Butch at some point. But yeah, I mean, this was bad, and I still fully expect them to do the match again because they're going to do the whole like, well, we're going to give them a chance to do a longer match on Raw or SmackDown that'll make up for it, even though it doesn't. And then we'll just get a longer match of something that doesn't matter. And the New Day will probably win that one because then it'll be like, well, you got one win and the other one is whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's all just shit. So they really would have been better off just not doing this at all. And considering I don't like the whole things with the advertisements and stuff, if you cut this and you cut those and you cut off the pre-show and stuff, you got about 3 hours worth of the show off there, right? So some people like Frankie in the chat thinking that New Day is going to get a third member and they're going to get this match running back at WrestleMania Backlash. I hope not, to be honest.
This is where they'll add Ricochet.
Maybe, yeah, because he's not got anything else to do. It's not like he's going to just, or at least it's not like he should just continue to keep fighting Los Lotharios. That was a waste.
Oh, I disagree with that. I think they put him over strong, but
I also think I'll have some things to say about Ricochet actually coming off the next segment as well. So,
Undertaker popping out for another goodbye.
No, not that one.
Okay. Well, the segment after that, the actual like segment was the Austin Theory and Pat McAfee match. Vince McMahon comes out, gives Austin Theory.
Might as well be Austin McMahon at this point.
Yeah. I still think that a cool
I never had a son.
It could have been some kind of Shane McMahon thing or something in another timeline, but he takes a selfie and, you know, we've got that whole kind of tie-in of McMahon's out there watching his protege, and Pat McAfee comes out to the Dallas Cowgirls, the cheerleaders, and Seven Nation Army. And I'm like, fuck, man, that song is so good. Of course it makes for a good entrance theme. He punts a football into the crowd. He's having fun. I wrote down weird that's still a better entrance than most people had, just him punting a football. But he was fucking great. As always, he's doing a swanton. He's doing a hurricanrana, backflip off the top rope, and then leaping to the top rope for a superplex. McAfee has wrestled 3 times now, and all 3 times he's done a great job.
Yeah. McAfee is very good. I guess it pays to be a natural athlete. Fun match. More fun comes after.
Yeah, Pat McAfee's great. I feel like he should transition from being a commentator to just be full-time on the roster if he wants to do that. I don't know why he would want to. He's probably rich enough already that he doesn't need to put his body through this kind of torment.
Why he never will.
On a more regular basis. But he should, because he's just awesome. I think he could be like one of the top guys in the company pretty quickly at the current rate that he works at. My issue when I would bring up the Ricochet thing is that Austin Theory in the Raw building up to this beat Ricochet in less than 2 minutes in a one-on-one match on Raw, and then he's lost to Pat McAfee. So you're basically telling us that you're one of the commentators on SmackDown is better than your Intercontinental Champion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And better than the United States Champion, because basically Austin Theory's had Finn Balor's number pretty much for the last month or so as well. So
right.
That's so yeah, and I guess that adds up because they're not on the WrestleMania card because frankly they don't matter. So and those titles don't matter, which is even better when you only have one world champion. But we'll talk about that moving forward as well. So yeah, perfect time to have your mid card titles mean less than they probably meant in their entire runs. But then it gets even worse when you figure out what happened next, and the guy that just beat the guy that beat your Intercontinental Champion got beat by a 70-something-year-old man.
Real quick, okay. Marquis says in the chat something I thought was funny. He was like, Austin Theory constantly looking back to Vince for approval was funny because it's like, yeah, Dad, I'm sports entertaining, right, Dad? Huh? Yeah, I thought that was great.
He spent the whole match playing Shane, and it was fine. I
loved that Pat McAfee went for a punt for like a potential finish. That was great.
I loved his jump off the. I think he did this in the Cole match as well, but falling off the top rope and landing on his feet with a moonsault, and then leaping up to the top rope to deliver. That's like the whole Shelton Benjamin type superplex. It's he was. Yeah, that's why he's so good. He's such a good athlete.
And then after that, Pat McAfee gets the win. You get the roll up, 24/7 championship kind of finisher. And then starts talking some trash to Vince McMahon, who teases taking his coat off, and people are like, fuck. And then he puts it back on. And then he takes it off, takes off the tie, unbuttons his shirt. And we got another match. It's Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee. Now, leading into this, they were saying, the rumor is that Vince McMahon is going to have a match against Pat McAfee. And then it started to turn into this other thing. And it was like, okay, I guess that was just like slightly off. Well, we ended up getting it. So, I mean, he's setting a clothesline. He's throwing him in the turnbuckle. He wins the match by very lightly punting a football into Pat McAfee's side. I laughed so hard at that. I thought that was...
You know what? I wasn't going to say this before, but Callum kind of put it in my brain now. Get fucked, Ricochet.
I just want to sum this whole next segment, or the whole overall part of it, basically from the moment that Pat McAfee wins the match onwards. This is hilariously shit wrestling. It is just... Listen, if it was anybody else in any other promotion, or if Tony Khan did this on a show, people would eat him alive. Because it's Vince, you can get away with it because... And realistically, that's fair enough, because Vince has had a long career of being the entertainer and the performer, and so he gets to do this sort of stuff, and everyone will lap it all up. But realistically, it's just absolutely dog shit. Like, just as a technical match, it's probably up there with the worst matches I've ever seen.
All right, but I'm gonna put you on the spot here. This match, which is better, this or Carmella and Jenna Maraska?
I mean, this is better.
Yeah, okay, you get the right answer.
But I said it's one of the worst. I didn't say it was the worst I've ever seen. I've definitely seen a lot of I've seen a lot of matches worse than this, but this definitely, just as a technical thing, easily cracks the top 20.
All right,
because Vince just barely moves his arms towards Pat McAfee, and the thing that makes it better is the fact that McAfee sells so well. Like, Vince slowly runs him into a corner. Pat McAfee bounces off of it like he's just like gone into it at 100 miles an hour.
Well, I mean, very clearly, we know that Vince McMahon has been hitting up the Crimson Bands of Sidorak, and he's the next juggernaut, right?
But the story they told was like that Austin Theory was getting involved, and that was helping Vince get one better on Pat McAfee. But what happened is that Austin Theory knocked Pat McAfee down. McAfee got straight back up, was perfectly fine to start the match, and then Vince just started clotheslining the hell out of him and throwing him over the place. And Vince at this point is just like, what
a genetic freak.
Well, no, but that's also one of the points as well. Is just the way that Vince looks. I think I saw someone's take on it on Twitter, which I'm probably going to butcher the phrasing because I don't have it in front of me right now. But it was something along the lines of Father Time has finally meant that Vince now looks like the people that he absolutely hated in wrestling, like this really thin. He's still like obviously built, but he's like not jacked as he once was. And so now he's basically, a 200-pound wrestler, pretty much, or whatever equivalent it is. It's like he looks like the people that he would never push towards the main event.
See, I thought when you were going to say that you were going to butcher the person's phrase, it was going to be something like one summer ago I had a swallow or something.
I was hoping you wouldn't let it go, and you didn't. Proud of you for that. Honestly, this was like the reverse Austin for me, because last night with Austin, he started moving gingerly. Like, that's how he started the fight with Owens. And I was worried that, like, oh boy, is this going to be a slog to get through? And then it was phenomenal. Vince, I popped so hard for the ferocity with which he took off the jacket and the tie. I'm thinking, oh my God, is he actually capable of pulling off, 3 minutes? And he was not. So it was what it was. I popped just because it's like, okay, on the one hand, as the reporter and the one who's been covering all this, it's funny that it all came to fruition. Literally, Austin, Cody, Vince. It all actually happened. That's the first part that's like, this is funny. And then it's just, all right, are we all just jerking ourselves off now? Like, this is just...
It very much is. And
Yeah,
I'm even guilty of doing the same kind of thing because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, I called the wee man under the ring thing from earlier. I called Gable and Gable. And I'm like, I've been saying for months in so many articles, why don't you do Austin stuns Austin? And then they didn't seem to tease it and whatever. And I'm like, that seems so fucking simple. And then as soon as they started doing this, I'm like, Austin has to come out. You need Stone Cold. And Vince McMahon spoils the second, the moment because he gets all like, wait, what? For his own theme.
It wasn't his theme. It was Austin. It was Theory's theme.
Yeah, for Theory's own theme.
Yeah. And then, it's just like he goes wide eyed. It's just okay. So it shows how much he pays attention to his fucking product. Sometimes, but the guy that he's in a fucking angle with, he has no idea what his entrance theme is.
So I thought that was hilarious because it's like he's spoiling right now that that's supposed to happen, and then of course 5 seconds later the glass shatters, and we get Stone Cold Steve Austin is in the ring with Austin Theory. He hits him with a stunner. He does the
Theory flew to the fucking moon.
Great sell of that. That was great. And then
it made up for next, which is
we had arguably one of the better sells of a Stone Cold Steve Austin stunner up there with like, The Rock does that kind of thing, and Scott Hall bounced around and everything. So it's like Austin Theory, yeah, great sell. And then we get the same thing that we've gotten a million times before of Stone Cold hands a beer to Mr. McMahon, who weirdly sips it, just going like, I don't know what the fuck was happening with that.
He's an old man. That's an old man. Beer.
An old man without his dentures or something? Like, what? That was just so strange all along. They clink the beers, hits the kick to the chest, and McMahon botches this so fucking bad that it makes his original one look not as bad.
Vince has never taken a good stunner. Like,
no, not really.
There's some that are better than others, but this is Linda McMahon levels of taking a stunner, because he takes the kick to the gut. He seemingly the force of Stone Cold's boot coming nowhere near his gut forces him back to the ropes, where Austin's trying to grab. No, Vince, come over here. It's like, Dad, come over here, Dad. It's just like, time for bed, Dad. It's like, and then he just like drops him gingerly, and Vince falls to his butt pretty much because he can't actually fall to his knees, because I presumably they'd turn into dust if he did.
No, he only gets one, and he blew the one on falling to his knees as soon as he was kicked. And like, it was just so awful. And the only thing that salvages it is that he slogs out of the ring like a snail, just slowly crawling away, and Austin is hysterical because he knows that was the worst thing that could have possibly happened.
Yeah,
that's so bad. Like, if you did not watch this, go back and check that out, everybody, because it's hilariously bad. And it's made even worse by the fact that it follows Austin Theory taking it so well. And then after that, Pat McAfee gets to celebrate with Steve Austin. And we're all like, okay, well, he's going to stun McAfee. Come on. The whole thing of the Austin characters, don't trust anyone. He's going to stun him. He kicks him. He stuns him. And McAfee does a great sell. And it's a different type of sell. He doesn't do the jump up in the air. He just falls backward, spitting the beer out. And it's like a perfect sell. So it's like amazing sell, one of the worst, amazing. And then McAfee's just pouring the beer
into his mouth. You know what? Yes, so bad it's good. Yes, if Tony Khan did this, we'd all be upset. Yeah, you know what, though? I don't care. Because this is exactly what it needed to be for WrestleMania. Does it suck? Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not blowing smoke up their ass. Does it absolutely blow that there is no one on the goddamn roster that can touch this, to where 57-year-old Austin and 76-year-old McMahon are producing some of the most genuine belly laughs and pops of the night? Absolutely. But you know what? We all know the shape they're in, and they weren't going to magically fix it at WrestleMania. So at least have fun. And this was fun.
Dane says for the super chat, give McAfee the belt for that awesome salvo stunner. No reason for him to lose to McMahon. Don't condone this. Vince versus McAfee was an embarrassment. And TJ says, I agree with Dane. McAfee shouldn't be losing to Vince. Doesn't serve either of them, especially considering how legitimate McAfee looked during his match with Theory. I fully agree, but at the same time, I think that in the grand scheme of things, everybody's just going to be talking about the fun of it. So sometimes I do think it's okay to have a loss with that, especially because it was like, all right, McAfee did just wrestle Austin Theory. So it's not like he lost a 2-minute match against Vince outright.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I totally understand why it happened, and it was fun to watch, but it's also one of those things you just go like, yeah, it's something that you have to just keep. Like, this is just a weird thing that happened on this show and should not play any bearing on anything that happens going forward for Austin Theory's career or Pat McAfee's career.
And you know what? I'm going to say this too. I'm glad it happened at WrestleMania and not at a Saudi show.
Yeah, me too. That's true. Also, for a split second, Pat McAfee was tied with Michael Cole for undefeated at WrestleMania commentator.
Well,
yeah.
Well, there's also a stat that was Vince McMahon's first ever win at WrestleMania.
That's right, Tony. For the first time ever, Vince McMahon wins at WrestleMania.
So 1-4?
The oldest person to win at WrestleMania.
History being made. Look at that.
So between these two nights of WrestleMania, we saw wins for Logan Paul, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Johnny Knoxville, Pat McAfee, and Vince McMahon.
And AEW creator Cody Rhodes. Fucking stupendous. There you go. Well, that was a fun segment. And then it turned into the main event of the night. Winner takes all, champion versus champion match. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. No special entrances for either of them. They just cheaped out again, which I was disappointed in. It doesn't count in my book of a special entrance of Brock Lesnar did his own announcement.
I did like that the microphone bounced off of Roman Reigns.
I didn't notice that. What happened?
Yeah. Well, no, like Brock threw it and it just bounced right off of his pack and he just sort of glared at it as it fell. I thought it was a nice little touch.
I was looking away at the time typing something.
Good. This was good. This was Brock versus Roman. You know what you got. And it was absolutely fine. I was slightly convinced that Roman was legitimately hurt with how quickly they ran to the finish.
When he was saying, it's out to the shoulder.
He was saying, it's out. And then they just ran to the finish. But fun match between these two. If you know what you're getting, you know what you're getting. And Roman won. And that's awesome because Monday Night Raw has to either start with Roman getting interrupted by Cody or Cody getting interrupted by Roman. Either way, I'm looking forward to that exchange tomorrow night.
I think you might be disappointed.
Yeah, the match was underwhelming.
I thought so too.
I think it was shorter than expected to, but if it's a case that Roman did just literally dislocate his shoulder during the match and so they decided to rush to the finish, I guess that's kind of understandable, but still doesn't make it more entertaining for us to watch. But yeah, it was just like the usual things that you expect. So he throws him around for a little bit. You get the spear through the barricade, which essentially everything, it seems to happen pretty much in every Roman Reigns match now, so it's not even a cool spot because it's basically a setup move for him. And then he spears him a few times. It's like Superman punches, Suplex City, more spears, more Superman punches, Kimura, dislocate shoulder, spear, done. The last spear looked good because he just like it was a leap into it as well, made it look good as well. But yeah, it was. I don't think it's the weakest of their WrestleMania matches because that's definitely the WrestleMania 34 because the crowd was into this one. but it wasn't. Wasn't as special as I was hoping it was going to be. So, but it served a purpose. Roman Reigns is now your undisputed champion, as everyone expected it to happen. And yeah, just move forward, see what's next for the belt and what they're actually planning on doing with having a single world champion.
I like it. I mean, Roman had to win. I genuinely believe this is the last time we will ever see them fight. And it's over. And you know what? They won. I'll tell you why. Because as Callum said, the crowd was into every single thing that happened. So they won. It took them 7 years, but they got it. Okay, the crowd was into every moment of this match.
Yeah, I mean, I can't condone the 7 years. I don't think that this was worth it at all. And I don't think that this is the biggest match of WrestleMania history. I don't think it was the match of the night or anything like that. So to me, this fails in that regard. It doesn't live up to any of the expectation, and it wasn't worth it. But the right guy won. So fucking let's move on from it and never have to talk about it again. I do not want Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania Backlash. I do not want to run this back at SummerSlam. We don't need any goddamn Hell in a Cell match. Let it be done. Like it should have been done 3 other times.
I think it's actually done here.
I don't.
Really?
I don't think it's done either. That's why I'm saying I just want it to be done.
I don't think the match was good enough to end it on that. And I also think that they're not going to be able to build someone up to take on Roman.
Well, when do you think it happens again?
In a Saudi show. I don't think it will be 2-3 years, but it will happen again.
Wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me if we see it again this year.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think it'll be that far, but I think to say that, listen, in a world where we just saw Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon have matches the same weekend, you can't say this is never going to happen again.
That's fair. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, Edge is back. He's been back for a few years. Yeah, I mean, everything's kind of crazy. So, I don't know where this is going to go in the future, but I don't expect that we're going to have one champion for too long. I think that they're going to, if they plan on trying to just have one champion, I don't think they lasted more than a month and a half before they start realizing how they can't. And then we just get something weird with like Money in the Bank or wait, because it's WrestleMania Backlash and then it's Money in the Bank and then Hell in a Cell, right? Or is it Hell in a Cell then Money in the Bank? I'm forgetting which one's first.
I think it's Hell in a Cell then Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank's the one before SummerSlam.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, if they go Media Backlash and then Hell in a Cell, I can't imagine that we've got Roman's holding both belts for both of those.
I think Roman gets a new belt because you've unified those ones, and I think we get a new World Championship introduced at SummerSlam.
So just
how long until Cody is a world champion?
SummerSlam.
You think they're just going to be like, look, we're going to have Roman do 2 shows a night, a week, and
so follow up question specifically for Callum: does he reintroduce a Big Gold?
I don't. I mean, there would be a reason for it, so I don't see why you wouldn't go down that route. Everyone recognizes that belt. It's a really, really good looking belt. So and it's completely different. But that's probably the reason why it won't be those, because it doesn't have the big WWE logo.
Yeah.
In the thing. So I don't know what you call it now. Cause if this one is now going to be, well, I don't know what it's going to be called.
It's the Undisputed Universal. Yeah,
Undisputed Universal Championship, which means that now they really don't have a title belt that's actually called the WWE Championship. So that's dead. They've actually killed the WWE Championship.
Yeah, see, that's another thing too. I can't imagine that they're gonna not bring that back too. It's just weird. I don't think we're gonna get like all right, that lineage is over and the Universal thing's going forward, and one champion and the brand split's still there and all that. Like, it's too messy. It's too weird.
One or two things is going to happen. You either have Roman continue with both belts, they don't introduce like a new single title, but from rumors being going around, apparently they have already designed the new title, which doesn't mean they're going to use it because they've designed multiple titles and never used them before. So that doesn't necessarily mean they won't do that. But you could do a situation where Roman has to defend the title twice on one night, or do a Money in the Bank thing where you have Cody win Money in the Bank or someone win Money in the Bank. Roman beats whoever he beats at SummerSlam. Cody comes in and takes one of the titles from him. But, you know, that's for future reference. There's really, we don't know what they're going to planning on doing with a single world champion across two brands, especially considering the fact they've already got two women's champions as well. So it just seems odd that they're now going down the route of, okay, we've got a single world champion, but only for the men. And we don't know really what direction we're going with it for that. It might even just be down to the fact that both USA and Fox are squabbling over the fact they both want Roman on their show.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think that they can maintain that either. So I think that we're going to be in a position where, like,
Roman doesn't appear on every episode of SmackDown.
But even still, like, he couldn't possibly do both Monday and Friday and do it every week and to have the same. Okay, he's feuding with Drew McIntyre right now, so Drew McIntyre is going to pop up on this one, and then we'll have Roman address it on the other show, and then we'll just do promo, and then it's not going to work out.
I mean, he could do that because when was the last time Roman wrestled before this night?
Like the weird thing about that, well, they can't possibly have only one champion on both shows. Why? They've proven for decades that they can do exactly that.
I don't think they have the stamina. Because remember, it's not the way that it was before. Like, they used to have that stuff, but they also had one less hour on top of that.
Also, they haven't proved that they can do it for decades. They can do that because when they did have the single world champion, they didn't have like 5 hours of TV they needed to fill every single week. And maybe for a period of time, they did decide to have like the one WWE champion, but then they realized, oh yeah, we've got a brand split, or we're moving, or we've got so much time to fill, and we're trying to elevate other people. Especially if you've got a guy like Roman Reigns, who you basically are going to keep the title on for 3-4 years at a time. You need another champion.
Because then you're just not going to have any title changes, and you can't say, well, then we'll have the title changes for the United States title, and that'll mean more, and then we'll elevate this person with the Intercontinental, because they've killed it. Neither was even on WrestleMania.
Yeah. So it almost gets to the point of, like, now we're talking about the stuff. We should probably just like draw a line in the sand almost to the idea of like these two nights of WrestleMania, for the most part, was a really good show. They're both really good shows. But then do we now move forward beyond that point? Like, just because these two shows were good doesn't give me any confidence that the product itself is improving.
Yeah, exactly. Tomorrow night is probably going to be an awful episode when they're Raw.
Because all the people some of the best parts of this entire show were things like the Knoxville Zayn match and the stuff with Austin and the stuff with McMahon and all this other stuff. And that stuff that just won't happen week to week going forward, and probably won't even happen again in our lifetimes. So yeah, enjoy WrestleMania these two nights as like a standalone event in a bubble, and then it'll be back to business as usual tomorrow night. And outside of the Cody stuff, I don't see that it's going to make much of a difference.
I have to give them credit. WrestleMania was very good. I'm not going to use the damn word, but it was a good two-night WrestleMania, and maybe the best two-night WrestleMania they've done so far. That being said, as you guys have so rightly pointed out, the best parts of those two nights were largely people who are not actually a part of the show. The only exception there is Cody. And as much as I am very looking forward to Cody making everything about the World Championship, I know that in the grand scheme of things, that isn't going to be conducive to what a great era. I'll enjoy it, but because it's not, overly popular, it'll probably be looked down upon. That being said, you gotta run with Cody because Cody's the fucking guy, and it feels different and fresh and special. And I just hope that they immediately start that tomorrow night. I'm not gonna say Raw's gonna be bad because Raw's got Cody. They can do anything, and I hope they do.
I'm feeling very satisfied with my predictions on some things. I'm feeling underwhelmed about some things. I'm feeling happy that I was wrong about some things as well. I still don't look forward to Monday Night Raw because I still think that there's going to be problems. And I don't want WWE to look at this and be like, Mania was great, and oh my god, we got through it, and this was perfect, and we can just relax now, because I feel like they didn't put the effort into leading into this, and the only way that you deserve relaxing is if you put the effort in ahead of time. Like, I know I've been working my ass off for a while, and I know that I can't stop and just be like, all right, I'll take the week off and not do anything. No, I'm gonna, right after we finish this, I'm going to edit the rest of this, and then I'm going to write another article up because that's just the way that I got to do things. But like, I don't think WWE can pat themselves on the back and say, we got a great road to WrestleMania this year, because it was a shit road to WrestleMania, where WrestleMania itself had overall 2 positive nights, but with some major problems in there that shouldn't be glossed over. And then on top of that, you don't get a free pass for the rest of the year. It's not like WrestleMania is 2 nights means 360 plus days leading into that doesn't matter. So I don't want this to be one of those, oh man, that was great, and then we can just relax until SummerSlam. Nah, it's not how it works for me. I don't want to see this philosophy of the Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championships are going to be the primary titles going forward, because we'll just wait and not have the world champion do anything, because we only have one world champion, but we can do promos on both nights and just kind of do the same shit again like that. I don't want to see Lesnar versus Reigns happen again. There's a lot I don't want that very easily could happen tomorrow night that makes me just go, God damn it, and ruins the positivity of this. But right now, before that happens, overall, I'm feeling positive about WrestleMania. I feel vindicated as all hell about a lot of things that sucked. And there's lots of things they need to fix for next year. But still, this isn't one of those like, Mania sucked, oh my god, kind of things.
With the way that they booked it going into it, I feel like this was the best possible outcome. If you want to say they lucked out, you can say that. If you want to say they failed upward, you could say that. But this was way better than I thought it was going to be. And I do want to commend them for at least this, because this is a conversation we all had with Cody and Austin. Well, I think it's just going to be a KO show. And maybe it's not even Cody. At least they delivered.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And yeah, it shouldn't be, the bar shouldn't be that low, but I do say at least they delivered, which shows that they aren't completely checked out yet.
Yeah, WrestleMania overall was 2 fun nights. I think night 1 was the better wrestling show. Night 2 was more of just like crazy, some weird stuff, some slightly worse stuff. But yeah, overall for 2 nights, it's probably the best WrestleMania since 35. Which I guess isn't hard to do, considering 36 was in front of nobody and 37 was a good night 1 and a pretty weird night 2. So it's definitely up there, I think, among some of the best WrestleManias of all time, I'd say. Probably it's definitely one that could be in contention for a top 10 spot.
I don't know where I'd go on that, because I'm terrible at just ranking WrestleManias, but I hope that everybody else enjoyed these 2 nights. I hope that you guys enjoyed our podcasts and our previews and reviews and articles and everything else that we've been doing about this thing, because this is the busiest week of the year, so we were working our asses off with these. And one of the other things that we need to do here to round things out is to round out the season of the Fantasy League. So, Callum, hit us with some numbers. How did things work out?
Well, so it's worked out this way. So the Roman Reigns thing really was a big benefit to Rob's team. Rob got, as expected, the maximum he could get for Roman Reigns as of this night, which was 122 points off of one guy, which is more than Tony got for the entire week.
All right.
So it ends up with the rankings of Tony finishes in third place for the year after winning at the halfway point. He finishes on 1,682 points. I finished in second place with 1,763 points. Rob gets the victory. After leading off the first 15 weeks, he was the guy who was ahead and then just fell backwards and backwards and backwards and backwards. But having Roman at the final one means that you get the benefits of that. And he finishes on 1,800 points as the season winner.
I just want to say, thank God, because the whole point of this whole thing was, well, I got Roman.
Yeah,
So
quite literally, you got Roman, and that sealed it.
That was pretty much it, really. It's annoying in the case of if either Ronda Rousey or Bron Breakker had won their matches over these last 2 weekends, I would have won. And they seem like, maybe not so much the Bron Breakker, but the Ronda Rousey one seemed like an absolute dead certainty.
They both seem like dead certainties. So
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't win.
Yeah,
And this is the second year in a row where you lost on the last day.
Lost it, yeah. And
If not the last match because of Roman Reigns, right? Wasn't that the thing?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't as bad this one because it's a case of, well, if Roman had lost, then obviously Rob wouldn't have won. But it would just be a case of, it's not really down to Roman Reigns. It was down to the Ronda and Bron thing, I think, really. It was, yeah, they just decided to screw me. They saw my fantasy team and decided they're going to screw me out of the points that I needed for that. But yeah, that's totally fine. It's because I'm generous enough. It's because I'm generous enough to make WrestleMania double points as well. So, because otherwise Rob would have been out of it before WrestleMania even started.
I think the funny thing is that, yeah, you were talking going into this week that I was in third place, and it was a tight race between you and Tony, and then I don't know what happened to Tony. He just crapped the bed entirely, but
I had like nobody who was going to be doing anything good at Mania. So
Yeah.
I mean, I could have gotten points
and
from
I mean,
Raquel, but I
poor
wouldn't have saved
Callum.
anything.
poor Callum, they released his team captain,
Yeah.
so he had a rough year.
Yeah, it was it was a mixed bag year. I think at different points of the year we were all ahead at different parts of it. So it was a lot tighter a race than it was last year when it was like there were two people chasing for the top and two people fighting for the bottom. But we'll see what happens with next year's one because I'm thinking slight format change. Again, it's not been ironed out completely, but when we decide to move ahead with that, then we'll obviously run it through you guys what we're going to plan on doing. But yeah, another season, another last minute loss for me.
Another win for Roman Reigns, and what can you say?
Yeah, I need to get first pick next time. Just pick Roman, but that's
See what happens.
But this is what's going to happen. He's going to wrestle at WrestleMania 39. He's going to lose to The Rock, and that's what's going to be the thing that screws me.
Right, and then it ends up being, well, it came down to the Roman Reigns thing again. But, you know. Well, remember, everybody, WWEFantasyLeague.com is where you can find some of these things. And if you want to start something up for having your own fantasy league going into another season or something, then you got a little bit of time. We pretty much have been doing this as that it starts at the next pay-per-view. So WrestleMania Backlash to next year's WrestleMania. So you could do something on like the Mega Maniacs Facebook group or the comments below on YouTube, or start up something on like Twitter or whatever it might be. If you want to take part in something like that and create another little side fantasy league, you can always do that. And I'm sure that Callum will, share some of his like spreadsheet type formats or something if you guys do want to cook something up, and see if there are some extra things when it comes into next year's. And like Callum said, we might get some changes to the format, but I'll let you know, and we'll let you know what's going on. We'll do some kind of a fantasy league pick at some point in the next couple weeks and carry that on. But this is the end of a season in more ways than one. It's not really like a Super Bowl kind of thing. Okay, well, we're not going to have football for a while because Monday Night Raw is going to happen in, just another day. Well, less than a day because now it's technically Monday. But later tonight, we're going to carry on with that. And then we're going to go into whatever the next main event is for the podcast, which could be anything from the ROH mock draft to some retrospective content to something completely else that is something not planned right now. We don't really know. So drop a comment below and tell us what you would like us to do, and we'll take that into consideration as well. But Mania, at least, is done. And then next pay-per-view point is going to be WrestleMania Backlash, I think, right? We don't have any AEW thing in the meantime.
Nope. And thank God.
Yeah, I could use a little bit of a break.
We're going to slow it down for a minute, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, as well. So drop a comment below. Tell us your thoughts. Good, bad, anything in between. And make sure you are following us all over the place on all the Smark Out Moment channels and social medias and everything. Go to fanboysanonymous.com as well and like and follow and share and favorite and subscribe for that stuff. Patreon.com/fanboysanonymous. Check out the TeePublic and Redbubble shops for everything. That's another way to help out on the monetary side of things and toss a little bit of spare change our way. And check me out at Tony Mango. Hopefully by the next podcast, I'm not going to be sick anymore and not have to keep clearing my throat like that, but we'll see about that. Yeah, in the meantime, Tony Mango all over the place. Check out what these guys have going on as well. Rob?
Yeah, the most important thing, even beyond my own stuff, is check out Fightful and Fightful Select. There's so much information about the 2 nights of WrestleMania up on Fightful Select right now. And Sean Ross Sapp works very hard on all that good stuff. So, give that your support if you enjoy wrestling news. And if you've listened to this, I imagine you do. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. That's on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and the rest. Callum?
Find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Check out all the stuff that's going out on smartcamera.com, including my week-to-week contribution to the Power Rankings. But be sure to check out everything else as well, because I'm sure the triple threat this week will be a WrestleMania retrospective, looking back on what happened, fallout from the event, and yeah, just keep following all that stuff along there.
All right, everybody, that is it. Another Mania in the books. We will see you next time, everyone. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.